uh, I'll just discuss the MMF distribution in an AC machine. Now, if we consider a basic machine, what we have described earlier, so this machine we have the field on the rotor, and on the stator we have a single armature winding. Now, when the field winding is carrying current, it is fed from DC supply. It will, depending on the direction of rotation, it will create a field uh, like this. Say for a particular instance, so this is the uh, this field will be created. This the field the MMF created by the field winding will be this will be the field axis. So this will be distributed like this. Now this field is, and this rotor is rotated by a prime mover in this direction. So these armature windings are stationary, but the flux linkage of the armature winding will change because the conductor positions are changing. So the field created by the field winding will be rotating with time. So according to the Fleming's rule, EMF will be induced in the armature coil. Now, if it is connected to the load, current will flow. Say for a particular instant, if the current direction is like this, distribution is like this plus and this is dot. So this current flowing through the armature winding will create another field. Now, for this particular figure, this field is like this because along this is the axis of the armature coil. It's a static winding. So the value of the, even if we can calculate from here, that is the Ampere's orbital law, integral HTL equal to current enclosed. Now here we assume certainty, that is iron, it is stator and rotor both are made up of iron, and iron is infinitely permeable compared to the air. This is the air gap between the stator and rotor. So it is assumed that all of the MMF is necessary to create the flux across the air gap. The iron portion does not consume any MMF. So there it will require MMF, but that is small compared to the MMF required for the air gap. So this is a simplistic assumption. So your integral HTA is current enclosed. So integral HTA is written as twice GH, twice G, because G is the air gap length. So it is crossing the air gap twice. So this is 2GH equal to NI. So your GH is equal to half NI. So if we draw this figure, if we just spread it, that is this windy, this is this conductor. So the MMF, this distribution will be like this. So in between we will have positive MMF, and here we will have negative MMF. So if if the winding is distributed like this, we will have a rectangular MMF distribution. So HTL is equal to current enclosed. So we got GH is equal to half NI. So this distribution was rectangular. Now this rectangular distribution, this rectangular waveform, it can be resolved into a fundamental and harmonics according to the now as it is symmetrical. So you can see that there is no even harmonic, but it will have odd harmonics. So that if we consider only the fundamental, because we are interested in the fundamental mainly. So, and the harmonics content is small, so neglecting the harmonics, we consider the fundamental, then the fundamental F1P, the fundamental MMF, that magnitude will be maximum magnitude will be 4 by pi Ni by 2. Now here you see I is sinusoidal in nature because the current in the armature winding, it is alternating. So as the current changes, this MMF also will change. That is, when current is positive maximum, this will be positive maximum. When current is zero, it will be zero. When current is negative, it will be negative. So basically, this MMF will be pulsating in nature. It is always this axis position is fixed in space, but its magnitude will change with time. Now maximum value of the MMF is 4 by pi root 2 Ni by 2, because root 2I is the peak value of the current, where I is the RMS value. This is for the two-pole machine. Now in general, for the p-pole machine, the expression is 4 by pi root 2 Ni by P. This P appears because for two, there was this 2 appears because the air gap was crossed twice. If it is p-pole machine, it is 4-pole machine, air gap will be crossed 4 times and so on. So this P appears in the expression. Now as we have seen that in the armature, it is not possible to concentrate the armature in one slot. So instead of concentrating all the conductors in one slot, say this same number of conductors are distributed in subsequent slots like this. That is, this winding is now distributed instead of concentric. So this distributed winding, as this slot pitch angle is very small, it can be considered that the current it is a uniform current shift like this. So uh, this is positive and this is cross and this is dot. So now consider this figure. We had I have drawn 3 conductors on each side. So 3 slots on each side. So this and this conductor might be considered as a winding. This and this constitute one winding, and this constitute one winding. So for considering this one, this is a single concentric winding, equivalent to single concentric winding. So it will have a rectangular distribution. Again, this will have a rectangular distribution, and this will have a rectangular distribution. And the resultant MMF between across this coil will be addition of these 3 rectangular waveforms, which results in a stepped waveform like this. Now, in this stepped waveform, this angle is very small. This is a slot pitch angle compared to this phase spread. This is a full pitch coil, 180 degree. So, if we consider that it's to a very small, so it can be considered to be equivalent to a trapezoidal distribution like this. Now, from here, we can calculate the fundamental of this. Here you can take the peak value. This is half Ni by 2. This is half Ni by 2, Ni by 2, where N is the number of turns in each slot. So the maximum value will be 3 Ni by 2. So basically 3N will be total turn in this all these 3 slots. So this will be total turns per phase, that is N phase. So this will be, peak will be N phase by 2. So similarly, this trapezoidal wave, we can analyze it into a fundamental and harmonics. Neglecting the harmonics, the fundamental value will be 4 by pi 0 to sigma by 2. This is phase fade sigma. This is 0. So this up to this angle is sigma by 2. 0 to sigma by 2, n phase I by sigma, theta sine theta d theta. This is changing from n minus n phase I to n phase I by 2 to plus n phase I by 2. So total change is n phase I and angle is sigma. So rate of change is n phase I by sigma, theta sine theta d theta. And from here to up to this we have integrated up to, because then it is repeated. So sigma by 2 to pi by 2, this is constant, n phase I by 2 sine theta d theta. So integrating, we will get 4 by pi n phase I by 2 into kt. Now if we, it was 4 by pi ni by 2. Now, and this expression is 4 by pi n phase I by 2 kd. That is same expression, only this is the addition. And this is basically sine n sigma by 2 by n sigma by 2. This is nothing but the distribution factor what we have derived by it. So in the, I have considered a full pitch coil. Instead of that, if I consider this short pitch coil, then the pitch factor also will appear. So the fundamental value of the fundamental MMF wave will be 4 by pi n phase I by 2 kd into kp. Now maximum value will be 4 by pi root 2 n phase I by 2 kW for 2 pole, and in 4 by pi root 2 n phase I by p into kW for p pole. Now here also you see this, as this I is changing with time, so this MMF will be pulsating in nature. So if we have a single phase winding, say I max is if we have a single phase winding, then we will have a pulsating field. Say I is equal to I max sine omega t. Say then FP1 is proportional to number of turns. This is the current wave. So FP for depending on the current value, the MMF value will change. So when current is this, so FP1 peak value corresponding to this will be number of turns I max sine of omega t, for because this current value is this I is sine I max sine of omega 2. So FP1 will be Fm sine of omega t, where Fm is this maximum value. This will be actually Fm. So Fp2 will be Fm sine omega 2. So at this at time t1, this will be the MMF. At time t2, when current is sine I max sine omega t2, then this will be the MMF. Current value changes, so MMF peak will change. When it is if at t3, when current is peak, so MMF also will maximum this. So as the current changes, it will be negative. So basically, we will have a sinusoidal, neglecting the harmonics, it is a sinusoidal pulsating field. That is, this magnetic axis and interpolar axis are fixed, but the magnitude of the MMF itself is changing with time. So we have a pulsating field if we have a single phase winding. Now, what happened instead of single phase if we have multiple phase? This, as we have seen that three phase is most common because it is economic. So consider a three phase winding. So in case of three phase winding, what we will have the slots are distributed over the armature periphery, and the conductors are there, and the conductors are connected to make three windings which are 120-degree apart. So we will have phase A, phase B, and phase C. Now, current, it is fed from three-phase supply. So current IA will be I max sine of omega t. IB will be I max sine of omega t minus 120 degree. IC will be I max sine of omega t minus 240 degree. Now, MMF produced by current flowing in this phase A winding will be proportional to IA. Similarly, FB will be proportional to IB. FC will be proportional to IC. So, considering the number of turns to be same, so FA can be written as FM sine of omega t. This comes from this current expression. FB is FM sine of omega t minus 120 degree, and FC is FM sine of omega t minus 240 degree. So if we consider the three windings independently, three windings, each winding create a pulsating field along its axis. So phase A will create FA along phase A axis. Phase B will create FB along phase B axis, and phase C will create FC along phase C axis. So what happens if at omega t is equal to 0, then FA is equal to 0, FB is equal to minus 0.866 FM, and FC is plus 0.866 is FM. So if we draw the figures, now this is positive direction of axis A, this is positive direction of B phase, and this is positive direction of C phase. So FA is 0, FB is negative. This was a positive, so FB is negative, and this is FC. So addition of these two will be 1.5 FM along this direction. Now for omega t is equal to 30, FA is 0.5 FM, FB is minus FM, FC is 0.5 FM. So this is 0.5 FM, FB is minus FM, and this is 0.5 FM. Again, the addition will give you, vector addition will give you 1.5 FM, but it is along this axis. It was along this vertical axis, now it has shifted to 30 degree. Now, for omega t is equal to 60 degrees, similarly, we have FA is equal to 0.86 FM, FB is minus 0.86 is FM, and FC is 0. So again, addition will give you 1.5 FM. Now, actually, these two figures, this is hand drawn, so angles are not proper. So actually, this angle will be this has moved from here to here 30 degree. It has moved another 30 degree. So from compared to there, it is now moved 60 degree. Now, if we consider omega t is equal to 90 degree, then FA is FM, FB is minus 0.5 FM, FC is minus 0.5 FM. So addition will be again 1.5 FM and along this direction. So it has moved through 90 degree. So individually, the phase A, phase B, and phase C are creating pulsating field along their axis, but what exists in the air gap is resultant of these three MMFs, and it is, you can see, an MMF which has a constant magnitude, and which is rotating that is initial that pulsating field, the magnetic axis was constant, stationary, and the magnitude was changing with time. Here the magnitude is constant, but the magnetic axis is changing with time. So it is a rotating magnetic field it is creating. So when a three-phase supply is fed, three-phase balanced winding is carrying three-phase balanced current, it will create a rotating magnetic field. So it is true for any polyphase winding. A balanced polyphase winding fed from a balanced polyphase supply will create a rotating magnetic field. Now, so in a synchronous, if we consider a cylindrical rotor synchronous machine, what we have defined that on the stator we will have the armature winding, which is necessarily a three-phase distributed winding, and on the rotor we have the field winding. So we have two uh, magnetic field. One is created by the rotor, that is the rotor field Fr, and other one is created by the stator field Fs. Now the rotor field is rotated at synchronous speed by the prime mover, and the field created by the stator current is a rotating field which is rotating at synchronous speed. So both the fields are rotating at same speed. So with respect to one another, these two fields appear stationary. So for any particular, so we can if consider that Fr and Fs, that is the rotor field and stator field, are positioned like this with respect to one another. So in the air gap, what will exist is the resultant field, the resultant of these two, Fr and Fs, which is this F capital R. Now, what is the magnitude? Now, Fr resultant field will be root 2 Fs square plus stator field square plus rotor field square plus twice Fs Fr cos of lambda, where lambda is this angle between these two fields. Now say if phi r is equal to the flux, so that will be the resultant field divided by 1 air gap reluctance. So this will be Fr mu 0 A by G. G is the air gap length and A is the area. Now Vr, the flux density, will be pi r divided by the area, pi r by A. So from this equation, Br, the resultant flux density, will be Fr mu 0 by G. Now energy density is half Br square mu 0, that comes from the BH curve. So this will be Br square, if we replace this by this, so this will be half mu 0 square by mu 0 Fr square by G square, so half mu 0 Fr square by G square. Now the average energy density in the air gap is this. Now what we are considering only the sinusoid, that is the fundamental. We are neglecting the harmonics. Now for a sine wave, if you remember how the root mean square value was defined, that is from there the average energy density in the air gap is half mu 0 G square into average value of Fr square. This is the energy density corresponding to a particular value of Fr. So as this Fr is sinusoidal in nature, so if we want to have the average energy density, that will be half mu 0 G square into average value of FR square. Now, what is average value of FR square? Now, FR is a sinusoid. So, average value of any sinusoid quantity square, that is half FRM square, where FRM is the peak value. Okay. So, this is how the root mean square value is defined. So, this is 1/4 mu 0 G square. This FR, just symbols, this is basically the peak value. This is a peak value. There's some representation টা একটু গন্ডগোল হচ্ছে, but this is the peak value. RM. So W field, or the energy is energy of the magnetic field will be average energy density into the air gap volume. Now this is the peak value square actually. So 1/4 mu 0 G square FR square, and air gap volume, one air gap volume will be twice pi RL G. G is the length of the air gap, L is the length of the armature, R is the radius of the air gap. So half mu 0 pi RL by G FR square. Now FR square we replace from this equation. So it is half mu 0 pi RL by G Fs square plus FR square plus twice Fs FR cos lambda. Now torque is defined as del W field by del lambda. So half of mu 0 pi RL by G del lambda of this expression. So this will give you minus mu 0 pi RL by G Fs FR sin lambda. This minus sign actually indicates the direction. So basically we have considered generated action, so that torque will be a braking torque, so this negative sign comes. So Fs sin lambda, from here Fs sin lambda is equal to AE. This one AE is equal to CH is equal to FR sin delta. That is this and these are equal. So Fs sin lambda is equal to FR sin delta. Similarly, if we write FR sin lambda, FR sin lambda, this one is equal to CG is equal to FR sin del S. So if you replace in this equation, so the torque can be expressed as mu 0 pi RL by G Fs FR sin del S, or this is Fs FR, that is rotor MMF sin del R. Because here we have neglected the losses, so they are coming equal. Now here if we consider, say this is a flux density distribution at is sinusoidal. So what is the flux per pole? D phi is, say it is circular, so small angle del theta, so d phi br sin theta. L, if a particular point the flux density is Br sin theta, then Br sin theta into L is the length of the armature into this small this is dx. So this will be the flux through this small area. So integrating we get the flux phi, so 0 to pi Br sin theta L R d theta. So this integration will give twice BR LR. So BR is phi by twice LR for two-pole machine. Now for p-pole machine, mechanical angle lambda n is 2 by pi lambda. We have derived mechanical and electrical angle earlier. So d phi m is equal to 2 by p d lambda m is equal to 2 by p d lambda. So d lambda m is equal to p by 2. So our torque is minus p by 2 d. Actually torque is del w field del lambda m. So that we changed that differentiation quantity to lambda. So p by 2 dw field del w field del lambda of this expression. So our torque will be this one. So this p by 2 will appear. P by 2 pi RL BR Fs sin del S. That is now d phi equal to BR sin theta L dx. So we have seen that phi for two-pole machine is given by 2 BR LR. So BR is equal to phi by twice LR. Now for p-pole machine, if we derive, it will give you 4 by P BR LR. For two-pole machine, P is 2, so it becomes 2 BR LR. So for BR is equal to basically P phi 4 by 4 LR for p-pole machine. So torque is in the previous equation, and if their torque is pi by 2 pi Fs sin del S. So pi by 2 minus pi by 2 phi Fr sin del R for two-pole machine. So for p-pole machine, it will be minus p by 2 pi RL p phi by 4 LR Fr sin del R. So this will give you minus pi by 8 p square phi Fs sin del S, or can be written as minus pi by 8 p square phi Fr sin del R for p-pole machine. Now this is a magnitude of torque. I neglected the sign here. So if that rotor magnetic field is created by the is will be m by 2 4 by this magnetic field values will be m by 2 4 by pi. M by 2 is number of phase, m is number of phase, 4 by pi. That is why for three-phase machine that 1.5 or 3 by 2 was coming. So 4 by pi root 2 n phase I by p kW for p-pole machine. Now phi, if the E phase is the per phase voltage, phi is E phase divided by root over of root 2 divided by root 2 pi f n phase kW. So putting these values in this torque expression, rearranging, we have p by 4 pi f m E phase I sin of sin del R. Now del R is approximately 90 plus theta. So and omega m is twice pi omega is equal to 2 by p twice pi f. So 4 pi f by p. So this is 1 by omega s basically. So we have m 1 by omega s E phase I sin of del R sin of 90 plus theta. So cos theta. So mechanical power is omega m TE is equal to m E phase I cos theta is equal to electrical developed power. This equation appears because we have neglected the losses. Obviously, there will be some losses. So electrical power, if we consider a generate motor, in that case our electrical power is the input and mechanical power is the output. So during conversion some power is lost. So this and for generator, mechanical power is the input and electrical power is the output. Again, there will be some losses. So if we neglect the losses, mechanical power and electrical power are equal. So next is how to develop the phasor diagram. Now we have seen that cylindrical rotor machine, instead of a distributed winding, I have drawn a concentric winding just for simplicity. Basically, we will have distributed winding. So we have this three-phase winding, and we have the field. Now, depending on the field position, what I have shown, say field is along this direction for this particular figure. Now, this what is the position of the armature reaction MMF? That is the MMF created by this armature coil. That will depend on the that is changing with time, and but this position is also changing with time. So they are both rotating at same speed. So they are relatively stationary with respect to one another, but the angle between FR and FA, that depends on the power factor of the armature current. Now first consider that the current, armature current, is in phase with induced EMF EF. So in that case what will happen, that is when induced EMF is maximum, armature current is also maximum. Now for this particular figure, induced EMF is this field is along this line, so induced EMF is maximum in this conductor and maximum negative in this conductor. So the current also, as current is in we have assumed current to be in phase with EF, so it will be also in maximum in this conductor in this coil AA dash. Now try to understand one thing, this FF position, that it is physically changing, but the current will change with time. So the angle between EF and IA is the what we define as a phase angle, that is relative to time. But the angle between FF and FA, this is a physical mechanical angle. This is a space phase angle, and this angle between EF and IA is time phase angle. So we are combining these two. So for a particular instant, this FF is along this direction. Now if EF and IA are in phase, in that case IA will be maximum here. If IA is maximum in this conductor, there will be some other currents induced depending on the angle and what is the flux it is linking. So we have seen that the MMF is resultant MMF is directed as we have seen in for creation of the rotating MMF. If you see, you will see that the resultant is always directed along an axis where the current is maximum. So as the current is maximum in AA dashed, so FA will be directed along the axis of this coil, and depending on the direction downwards we get from the Fleming's rule. So this is Fa. So what will exist in the air gap is resultant of field MMF and armature reaction MMF, that is Fr. So if we here I have considered clockwise rotation. Now normally when we draw figure, we consider a counterclockwise rotation. If we draw in that conventional way, in that case, if this is Ff, that is, it is rotating in this direction. So if this is F Ff, then it is backward on Fa. So if this is in this direction, this is Ff, then backwards 90 degree, this will be Fa. So Ff divided by the reluctance, air gap reluctance will give phi F, and Fa divided by the reluctance will give you phi A. So the resultant is Fr. So Fr divided by the reluctance is phi R. Now what happens if the power factor is something different? Now consider that the current flowing in the winding has a power factor angle. This is internal power factor angle of psi, because power factor angle is between V and the terminal voltage and the current. And here the angle is between the induced EMF and the current. It is called the internal power factor angle. Now initially we have considered psi is equal to 0. Now it has a something positive value psi. Then what will happen for the same position of Ff, that is horizontal in this direction, the current will not be no longer be maximum in coil A dashed, because the current is lagging by a time phase angle of psi. So it will be maximum after this time has been after this time. So current is, instead of here, current is maximum in some coil here, A1 dashed, which is psi degree away from A. So the MMF, armature reaction MMF, resultant MMF will be along this axis of this coil. So armature reaction MMF will be Fa along this coil, and the resultant will be Fr. So similarly, if we draw this one in the conventional way with omega in counterclockwise direction, so this is Ff and this is Fa, the angle will be see that if this is Ff, then Ff induces the EMF EF, so that will lag EF by 90 degrees. So this will be the position of EF, and IA will be psi degree before be lagging. Sorry. So these phasors are basically space phasors. That is, the angle between Ff and Fa are the space angle, mechanical angle between these two. This is, and all these relations here, these are space phasors, but these are the time phasor. Now if these two we combine together, what we can put here, we can combine like this, that is, Ff will induce EF lagging it by 90 degrees. So this will be the EF position, and this will be IA is lagging by psi, so IA is lagging by psi, and so Fa is along that direction, because Fa is created by IA. Now Fr, the resultant, is equal to Ff plus Fa. So as we are considering a cylindrical rotor machine, so reluctance is constant, air gap reluctance. So the if we divide by reluctance, So we have Fr by reluctance equal to Ff by reluctance plus Fa by reluctance. So phi r is equal to phi f plus phi a. Now let us consider Vt is equal to per phase voltage, Ia is the armature current, Ra is the per phase armature resistance, XAL is per phase armature leakage reactance, cos theta is the power factor angle of the load. Then this will be the phasor diagram. That is, this is FF or the field MMF. So this field MMF induces EMF lagging it by 90 degrees. So this is EF lagging it by 90 degrees. Now, if this is the terminal voltage VT, the armature winding has a resistance Ra, leakage reactance XAL. So due to the resistance, there will be IaRa drop. This is the terminal voltage Vt and this is the current Ia. We know the power factor angle, so we can draw these two phasor. Now Vt plus IaRa is the resistance drop plus JIaXL, the leakage reactance drop, is ER. ER is called the air gap voltage. This is basically the voltage which is induced when the load current Ia is flowing. So this is the EMF which is induced due to the resultant MMF. So ER, if the air gap voltage, so the resultant MMF which is induces ER is FR. So this FR is leading ER by 90 degree. So, and FA is in phase with IA. As per our equation, we know FF plus FA is equal to FR. So this is a phasor diagram. Now this is the this difference in voltage between EF and ER is due to the armature reaction. This voltage drop is due to armature reaction, because under no load condition, when there is no armature current, then the EMF which is induced is EF. Now when the current IA is flowing, there will be an additional field, the armature reaction field. So our resultant MMF become FR, which is the summation of FF and FA, and this resultant EMF will now induce an EMF in the winding ER. So ER is different from EF. So difference is due to the armature reaction drop. Now in this here figure, I have drawn a lagging current. So there is reduction in ER, not necessarily, because this effect of armature reaction depend on the power factor of the armature current. Now today I will stop here, because I will continue with this cylindrical rotor machine in the next class. Now just remember one thing, the phasor what we have developed is based on the theory that the air gap reluctance is constant. This is only true for a cylindrical rotor machine where we have a constant air gap. But when we go for salient pole machine, the air gap is not constant. So this theory is not valid for salient pole machine. This is basically the theory valid for the cylindrical rotor machine only. So we will have a next class on Thursday. Okay.